before we start the film, I am so honored to be presenting Mona May with our top honor at Miami Film Festival, the Precious Gem Award. There are no costume designers or no artists more worthy of this award. Not only did she do all the costumes in Clueless, which we're going to talk a lot about, but oh my gosh, there are so many costumes in this movie, and each one is incredible and iconic, and I want every single one of them. But she's done the costumes for so many amazing, amazing films like The House Bunny, Enchanted, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, The Wedding Singer, so many. I mean, I can't even name all of them. So on behalf of Miami Film Festival, I am so proud to present Mona May with our Precious Gem Award.
Guys, this is my first like a statue, so I'm very happy to have this. Thank you for Miami. Thank you for being here. I mean, it's such an honor because this movie truly has been 30 years. So for all of us to still love it and be inspired by it, it's amazing feeling as a costume designer to really be here and still have fun. Yes. So thank you for being here today, and really appreciate you all dressing up too, which is great.
Thank you so much. Amazing. All right, let's start the Q&A. All right, so I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and then I will open it up to the audience. So start thinking of your questions. But I want to do a deep dive in all the costumes here. Yes, we want a picture of you guys in all of your outfits. So do not leave if you dressed up.
Prize, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a really good prize. But there are so many costumes in this movie. I want to start by talking about, first just tell the audience, how many outfits did you dress each character in? I know Alicia Silverstone had a lot.
Okay, Alicia Silverstone had 63 changes, which is crazy, you guys. In movies, it's like 5 or 12 is a max. And then imagine Dion and Amber, another 45. And then everybody else, Ty, another at least 30. And then I dressed every person on the screen. So every extra that you saw in a classroom, in a quad. Because at the time, everybody was wearing grunge. So they didn't look like the girls in our high school, right? In Beverly Hills High. So it was amazing. So it's probably thousands of people that I had to dress because, there were so many days in the script, right? We had fall when they started the school, then we had Christmas, then we had spring, the wedding. It was a lot, and we had very specific color palette for each of the, seasons. It was amazing. I mean, truly, I don't even know how I did it because the budget wasn't big.
Well, so let's talk about the budget, because I think for a lot of us, we don't know what the proper, I wouldn't even know how much money would be allocated towards costumes, but not only was it not a big budget, it was also in a time before you were getting sent clothings and DMing people and influencers getting sent free stuff. So you had to have some designer labels here. That's hard to get, especially in a tight budget. So
right. I mean, this is really, this is analog. This is analog times. I mean, we didn't have the emails. We didn't have the PR machines that are now. And also, it was a small movie. The movie almost didn't get made because it was a movie about girls. And when Emmy Heckling wrote the script, she went around the studios and nobody wanted to make this film. They said, it's about girls. Add boys and we'll do it. And she was like, no way. This is my movie. This is what I want to do. It was based on Emma, Jane Austen. And finally, she landed at Paramount because the chief, director who ran the studio was a woman, Sherry Lansing. So we have thank her for this really beautiful thing. But we were still a little bit of like a stepchild. They just gave us the money, but it wasn't all the big budget. They were like, it's probably going to fail. So, but, the movie was probably like $20 million, which is nothing. I had $200,000, you guys, in a day. I mean, 30 years ago was more money, but I didn't have the designer, money for designer. So I had to be very scrappy, truly. I had to go high and low and get what I could designer in the store. I mean, we can talk about the Alaya dress a little later. But that was also a mother of invention. It was so cool because at the time people didn't dress high and low. Like this is normal now, right? Balenciaga baggy or ripped jeans and the flip-flops. So it was really something that I also was bringing out, something very fresh, which was really cool.
I think what's so fascinating about Clueless is that this wasn't how people dressed. It's not like, you walked around Beverly Hills and you were just, capturing what people dressed like. This wasn't how people dressed. So tell me how you envisioned, it's almost like an alternate universe in a way, this world of this fashion, where it came from and why you felt it fit the characters in the story, these bright colors and this layering and these knee-high socks.
Well, first, as a costume designer, I started with the script. So this is really my blueprint, and Emmy Heckling I can't sing the praises for this incredible woman and a writer. I mean, genius. You know, she wrote a beautiful script with really beautiful characters. You know, so that I already knew who Cher is, her psychology. You know, Dion. So that was very important. We also were very connected as a director and a costume designer because she was into fashion, and sometimes directors don't really care. They don't even know what A-line skirt is, believe me, you know. So that was like an advantage for me. I also have worked with Amy before. We did a pilot together, and the pilot didn't get picked up, but we connected. She understood my fashion. I also came from fashion design. That was what I studied in college. I grew up in Europe, so I studied in Paris and London. Then I came to New York. I ended up in Los Angeles. So my background was in fashion. So when she wrote this, she called me because we already knew each other. And she said, Mona, you're the girl because I really want this to be super high fashion. I want the girls to look like we've never seen girls in high school. And also it was California, you know, so it's bright colors. She wanted to be very feminine. That was already kind of in her mind as a director. So truly it was an honor to get the film because it was like a dream come true to be a costume designer and fashion designer in one, which is amazing. And then I just started really looking at the runways, you know, because as you said, everybody looked grunge. I mean, we went to high school and we were like looking at the locations and just basically crying. It was so bad. It was like, we were like, oh my God, this cannot be our world. So I had to go to the runways. You know, I looked at the runways. Runways are also 6 months ahead, sometimes even a year ahead, the colors that you get. But what was really important, we had to take that information from the runways but translate it into high school. They had to look youthful. They were 16 years old. They were not like snooty models running around in high heels. You would not even love the characters. You'd be like, ugh, those girls are annoying, you know.
But I feel like, you know, it's interesting because I don't think people realize that if the costumes weren't what the costumes were in Clueless and we just dressed them in grunge or jeans and a t-shirt, this movie would not be what it is. It's a language of the movie.
Language,
so the script is amazing, the direction's amazing, the performances are all amazing, and yet it still would not have been what it is. I promise you, we would not be talking about it today were it not for everything coming together.
Yeah, we wouldn't have the book for sure.
Yeah, like look at this cover. So I want to talk to you. I guess we're talking about the costumes. Let's start with the first main costume, which is the iconic yellow plaid outfit. Can you tell me how that came to be?
Again, I have to always come back to the costume designer's job because it's not something that I now sit around and go, okay, I'm going to do a yellow plaid, right? It just doesn't work that way. It's about the process. It's really, I'm an artist. So how do I come with the ideas? We were talking with Amy. When I refer Amy Heckling, our director, talking with Amy, and I was like, okay, let's think the reality of high school. So Catholic school uniform, plaid skirt, sweater vest, white shirt. But then what would Cher do, right? I mean, it would be like on steroids, of course, Then I think, okay, Vivienne Westwood, I love, her. She's my hero. So, plaid, tartan, McQueen, to Alexander McQueen, looking at what's happening. So then the idea of the tartan suit came, and I was like, Amy, I think this would be really cool. I mean, I think that would be just great for her to have a plaid suit. And she's like, yeah. So then I started looking, and we knew that the scene is outside in a quad, very important. Again, all the stuff that's, I need to know before I really put somebody in a costume. In a quad, outside, a lot of green in California, flowers. We're going to have a lot of people crossing, as you see, when she's pushing the guy away. So she had to pop, right? So I started shopping. I found a really great blue one, which I was like, oh my God, Alicia is going to look so beautiful in this blue tartan. I found a red one, kind of the classic red. And then on the corner of my eye, somewhere in Beverly Hills, I saw the yellow, and I was like, just kind of jumped at me, this color. And I was like, this is weird. I mean, it's yellow on a blonde. It's probably not even going to work. But it just was speaking to me. It was like, take me, take me. And, everything really happens in the fitting. Fitting room is like the laboratory. So you have all the ideas, all the things that you did collages for, all the ideas from the runways. But not truly when you're fitting the actor, you know what's going to work. Because their bodies are different. They also bring their own essence into the character. So it has to be the blend. So we started fitting, and Alicia also comes in her sweatpants with her dogs in tow. She was already like an activist, couldn't care less about high fashion. We had to actually teach her how to wear the clothes. So we tried the blue suit, and it's beautiful, but it's just, it just doesn't have any oomph. We look at the red one, and Amy immediately goes, no, this is our Christmas palette. We can't do the red plaid yet. and we threw the yellow on, and it was that moment when you get the goosebumps. It was just like so right. I mean, she perked up. We saw the sunshine. I mean, we saw the queen bee. It was just the energy of the color that was just saying, I am the number one. I am, I glow. And here we are. So it was a beautiful moment, and it really was great. It was a Jean-Paul Gaultier Jr., so it was quite expensive, but it was like that was so important, And then I got to design Dion, so always the number one character. We do all the fittings first, and then I will design Dion, and I would, find that crazy hat to go for her because they both had to look amazing. They called each other in the morning. What are you wearing? I'm wearing my suit. Okay, I'm wearing my plaid suit. Okay, cool.
But I love that. But so I want to ask you, well, two questions. First, I think that what's fascinating to me is the idea of, you're working with the actors. So it has to feel, just because you see an amazing outfit doesn't mean that that person will carry it well or look good in it or really feel the most confident in it. So was that kind of the big part? Is that like when you put that on Alicia Silverstone, how do you work with the actors to know that you're dressing them in something that makes them feel like the characters and feel like the best version of themselves?
You know it in a fitting.
Yeah.
I mean, you truly do. I mean, it's like in that moment when she stands up straight, when she's like, oh, I'm Cher, and then we add the headband, and then we had the over-the-knee stockings. We put the shoes, and the shoes were all very girly, little Mary Janes, a little stuck heel, no stilettos at all, ever. Everything had to be very feminine and beautiful because, we were aiming to create this world for the girls to emulate that were so different from what it was out, the baggy and kind of, you didn't even know if girl and boy looked the same at the time, So it's beautiful. And, talking about that too, like the hat that Dion wore, I don't know any other girl can step out in that crazy Dr. Seuss hat.
She pulled it off.
She pulled it off.
I wouldn't have been able to walk out and look like
right.
I mean, it wouldn't feel natural to me. But
and
Stacey
Cher
Dash
maybe wouldn't
worked
even
it.
be able to do it, Alicia, but she did because she was older. She came from New York. She was a little bit of a punk rock already. She was in the fitting like, oh, Mona, I want this vinyl skirt, make it shorter. She already had really a great sense of fashion, so she could rock it, and she did. She was like, Mona, don't worry, girl. I'll make it fabulous. Yeah. So it takes the actor. It's so important, And also, if it didn't work, I probably couldn't do it. I would have to be like, all right, you know what? That's too much. Whatever. You also have to have a director who's going to be like, yeah, let's do it. So Amy was so amazing because she allowed me to just play. I wear hats. It's kind of my signature. I wanted to put a lot of hats in the film, and she was like, go, Mona. I mean, she truly like, it was the genie that came out of the bottle. It was me, this artist, going, yes, you're letting me do whatever I want. So fun.
Important, like have someone that lets you do your job, and and lets you have fun, and that's of course it's so rewarding because look what resulted in it.
But it's not often the case, you guys. It's not often the case, and you hope to find your tribe. And I mean, I'm sure you're artists, you have clients, and it's hard. Sometimes they just don't see it the same way, or the actor doesn't see it the same way. So it really was a kind of a magic. It was magic.
Yeah. And so when you're dressing Cher and Dion are a little bit of a pair. So when you're dressing them, tell me the process of, you're putting Alicia in the yellow outfit and how you're deciding what Dion is wearing so that they are kind of complementing each other, but both having their own sense of style.
That's a puzzle. I mean, truly, in the day I used to do the fittings and print the photos. It was on analog. Do these huge boards, kind of like foam core boards, and I would put little post-its for each of the scenes. And then the first Alicia's fittings would go there. 63 changes, discuss with director where is that moment for that particular emotional moment, like, the outfit she's wearing for Cher when she was kind of depressed. So, we map it out, really. So it's the color, it's the emotion of the scene, what has to be really right for it. And then I'll bring the second actor in, so it's number one, number two would be Stacey, and then we do her fitting, and then we do the puzzles. All the pictures are printed, they laying all around, and in the fittings we already kind of know a little bit like where this would fit, because we know there is a Christmas, there is a first day, there is the wedding, so we know certain things, and then we have to like fill in. It's kind of like Sex in the City too. I mean, all the girls, I'm sure they were designing the same way, where you always have to know who is wearing, because when you think of the movie screen, there's two things. Number one, when actor comes out, in 10 seconds who they are by what they're wearing, right? I mean, that information is there. That's why costume is so important, And then for me also the screen, when you're looking at a frame, is like art. To me, that's my painting. So I have to make sure that everything in that on that screen in that painting is perfect. So the colors, nothing is overpowering. This number 2 doesn't overpower number 1. If we have her in yellow, there's no other kids in yellow in that scene, or probably in that whole sequence, because they have to shine. How does the hat looks like with that hat? And then what's fun too is working with the director who writes the jokes, because I got to really bring the Alaya, I got to bring the Calvin Klein dress, the Dr. Seuss hat, and then Amy wrote those jokes in after our fittings. So that's also so cool to work with someone like that who's so
rare,
open. Very rare.
The fact that your designs are being referenced, so like, again, this is an Alaya, is such a classic line.
Completely.
Or
My God.
Looks like Calvin Klein looks like underwear. Like, those are very, very famous lines that we say all the time, and that's exactly because those are what you were putting on the screen. So I can't think of many other examples in film or TV that really quite do reference a costume as much as this one do. But I want to ask you about how you work with the other departments. So, like, I'm watching and we're thinking about how their makeup is, or the accessories they're using. I was even paying attention to the scene where she's using that pink fluffy pen, and she's wearing these, like a baby blue outfit. And so how do you work? You have an idea of what you want them to be costumed as, but how are you working with the makeup artist or the prop designers to make sure that everything is in synergy?
Yeah, I mean, the lucky thing is that we as costume designers start quite early. So we usually have like 2-month lead, and sometimes like in Enchanted or a movie like this, even 5-6 months, because there's so much more that we actually design and make. So I'm lucky because I get to kind of map it out, and then I communicate that with the other departments. So it's great. It's a great guide for them, so like in the gym scene, they know in the gym scene what they're going to wear, and we did discuss what kind of hair would it be. They know that there in that scene will be a hat, so they know what kind of hair to design. The makeup was very minimal. I mean, again, Amy wanted them to be so fresh. No crazy stuff, no crazy eyelashes like now and all this stuff. Just, it was really beautiful because the youthfulness was very, very important. They had to look 16, and that was throughout so important to us to make sure. And I think that's something very important when you're looking at the movie now. There's a certain nostalgia to that innocent that I think we all kind of miss in a way, because it's gone, and that's the beauty of the film too. And that was very strong when I was designing the movie, and then what Amy wanted to do, So it's cool.
And I think there's about 3 scenes that come to mind, or 3 or 4, when she's trying to look sexy, but she's, still very innocent, and you still get the sense that, this is a girl who is a virgin and who's 16.
Yes.
And so they are sexy, but it never feels inappropriate or icky.
Exactly.
Which could be very easily.
Very easy. I mean, with the Calvin Klein dress could have been totally bodycon, but we really made sure the way that she scripted was an inappropriate dress. So then it was up to me to really figure out what it is. And we tried, a lot of like undergarment-y things, and it just looked really bad. And this dress that we picked, the Calvin Klein, was spandex, but it had cotton in it. So, again, it wasn't like super stretchy. It just still felt appropriate. And I think the color too was so innocent, kind of, wedding-like or virgin-like,
And then the sheer
and then the sheer, which was such a funny joke, which Amy
laughed
too.
Covering it up, and it's just see-through. That, and then we're talking about the makeup, is the dress when she's trying to seduce Christian. Right. She's wearing that red velvet dress, but still.
It was Betsy Johnson, by the way.
Betsy Johnson? Oh my gosh.
We love Betsy Johnson
love Betsy
forever.
Johnson. But that's when they were like putting all the blush on her.
Yeah.
And that's when she's like kind of putting up too much makeup.
Right.
And she's so fresh-faced and young, she doesn't need it, but she got the red lip and like a lot of pink blush.
Yes.
But it shows to me that you're using that to show that she's a little bit clueless or kind of trying too hard.
Very nervous for the first date with Christian.
She's trying a little hard, but I love that that's Betsy Johnson. I know I saw it was looking through your book, and I saw you use some Tarina Tarantino, which is one of my favorite designers.
You guys, she was just coming
up.
out with her jewelry line at the time. It was so great. They came with her husband, who is her partner, and like showed me some rings and stuff, and I was like, yes, let's do it. So it's great to work with artists, who are now full-fledged and have great businesses, to help people, and you're creating your tribe. I think same for you guys. You have your people you work with and support, and you support each other. So it's really important. But going back there to the Alaya dress too, it's so fun because that was also not scripted, and I wanted something very cool that is for Christmas. That's very kind of grown up. That was kind of her moment there. And we found the Alaya, you guys, but I couldn't afford it. It was $3,000. I was just, there's no way. So again, remember, no cell phones, no emails. We had to actually find a number for the atelier in Paris. Paris. I found somebody who speaks French. We called him up. We were like, we're doing this movie. Can you please, could we, like we can't afford the dress. And he agreed. He was the sweetest man.
Oh my
Bless his
gosh.
heart, such a supportive artist. And he shipped the dress to us. We had the dress. It was only borrowed. So when she had to get on the ground, it was like, oh my God. Everybody was just like, blowing the leaves and any kind of dust. And I'm like, Alicia, you can't even move. Don't breathe. Let's not snag this dress.
Oh
And
my
she
God.
didn't. And it was just a moment. And
And then the jacket's a Mona May original.
and yes, and I got to design the jacket, you guys, the little jacquard jacket with the feathers and stuff.
You
So
love feathers.
I love feathers.
love that.
Forever feathers. I mean, Drew Barrymore, I was just on her show
Yes.
promoting my book, you guys.
Never been kissed.
Never been kissed. And I gave her a boa, and she was just like, we were laughing so hard. Josie
Josie
Grossi, which is
Grossi.
her favorite character.
Yes, and you have feathers in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
Oh my
You got
God.
some-
I think I try to sneak feathers everywhere I
No,
can.
but I love that. I love that we see feathers, we see cool hats, because that's something that is a stamp of your favorites of fashion
Yeah,
items.
and color
So-
too. It's like I was born in India. I'm Polish and German, but I was born in India, and that's something that I think first time that I opened my eyes, I saw these colors that just imprinted on me. I mean, I wear color. My house is colorful. To me, color is energy. I mean, it's like the yellow, right? It's like, I don't know. You look at it, you feel good. It's like when you come out of these films that I do, I think there's a feel good feeling because energy has color. I mean, red. When you're looking at it, I think it's love. It's energy. I mean, they've proven it with color therapy that it's truly has a an emotion effect
Why
on
I
people.
watch
Yeah.
Clueless is my comfort movie, not just because it's an incredible movie, but I just feel like good when I'm watching it. And I see
Yeah.
the colors and the costumes, and it's like a endorphin rush to your brain because all the colors and it's so pretty to look at.
And what's great too, I think it's like you have to think as an artist too, what is your signature? What are the things that really where you come from? What makes you an artist? What makes you unique? That's so important. Bring those things in, kind of translate everything that you see through your kind of inner soul in a way of this artist, because then it's going to be more unique. I think it's going to be something that can become iconic because it really is fresh and different. I think just Googling things and like all that stuff, it's like we've seen it all. But if it really comes from you, and this is what I try to do, with my films and characters and, always inspire, always kind of push. This is not easy job, you guys. I mean, to dress these characters in 2 months, get it all done, make sure everything is altered. Even if I bought it for 99 cents, it has to look couture because when it fits well, it's like, it looks high end. Those are the things, where you have to push, and the accessories and everything like has to be on point.
Every
Like,
single thing that's on that
I'm
screen.
like a tire mom. Like this is not going in there, and it's perfect. But it takes really an effort. And I think, as any artist, I think as a musician, or you want to make sure that your stuff is cool, that it's really like you're proud of it.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. We have time for a few questions from the
Yes.
audience. Okay, I see a question right here. Yes.
So, I keep talking to my friends about how much I love that you influence the culture in fashion. You were saying just that everything was grunge before the 90s. And they mentioned contemporary casual in the movie. And I'm like, yeah, after this movie, that's all they had at contemporary casuals. That's what we wore. How do you feel knowing that you basically impacted this fashion for that era? For, I think, almost all of us who were of a certain age in that era.
It's incredible. I mean, it's not that I set out to do it. I mean, we hope that we can change things and, people get inspired, but to have that impact. And for so many years, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I was just in the school here yesterday at the Miami Fashion School, and, students came up to me who were like, they're 20 probably.
Yeah.
Or, they were like, your work inspired us to be costume designers or fashion designers. I mean, it's beautiful. It's really something that can live on in people's spirits. It's incredible feeling. I mean, I'm honored, and I'm so glad that my life works can do that, which is really beautiful.
And just to say, some of the places where we had the fancy music video, Iggy Azalea,
Yeah.
which is all Clueless
Yeah.
themed.
Yeah.
You had Kim Kardashian and her daughter dress up as
Last year.
Sharon Dion. You had Taylor Swift at I think it was the VMAs, wearing that yellow plaid outfit,
yeah,
which was
yeah.
very
I
clearly.
know.
So like you see it everywhere
Yeah.
on a scale that's
Yeah.
honestly unfathomable.
And Halloween was crazy. I
Halloween,
mean, people were
yes.
sending me stuff from all over the country, like New York and LA and even here. And that's why I love the book, you guys, because the book is really special for me. It's like labor of love. I mean, 30 years later, I can share with you very intimately, the stories that I speak with actors and, kind of reminiscing the times. There's photos that you've never seen. I mean, there's Polaroids, like continuity Polaroids that we found at the vault of Paramount that I haven't even seen in 30 years that didn't disintegrate.
No.
You know, there's like style guides. There's something that you can take the book home and truly be with the characters intimately, you know, like on your own time. You can open the book at any page. It's also written chronologically, so it's like you meet Cher, and then you meet Dion, and then you meet Ty, and we talk about Brittany and how beautiful she was, and what an incredible person. She was such a sweetheart, and she already was like older for her years. You know, she knew about the character. She wanted to kind of. She said to me, Mona, I don't want to look good. Don't make me look good in the beginning. I want to have that arc. You know, that I became this Cher mini me, and then kind of found herself when she's, you know, at this skateboarding park at the end, and like a sporty T-shirt, but already had a little Tarantino necklace, you know, and her pigtails. So she found herself, and I think that's what I love about my movies too. It's this finding the characters, Romy and Michelle, or Never Been Kissed, you know, even Enchanted, House Bunny. The girls are finding their authentic selves. You know, something to really be okay in your skin, to have fun with who you are, you know, and not be afraid. So this is what's so beautiful.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Okay.
Right
I'll
here.
be quick.
So beautiful.
Yeah, so absolutely. We have last, styling all of these women and men, but I wanted to know what was your favorite scene to kind of style and what who was
It's such a hard question because it's like a mom who loves older children, you know. But I mean, it's like I do love the yellow because the impact of the yellow is incredible. I love the Alaya because I got to design the jacket. But I also love the Cher outfit when she's so emotional. You know, she's like now figuring out who she is, and you know, she's kind of lost her armor, you know, in that outfit, in that moment. The color is different, so it was such a cool moment to do that. But I also love her little dresses, the green one that she wears, you know, with Christian.
The cap sleeves?
Yeah, it's cap sleeves. It's a little bit like, you know, Emma, Jane Austen nod with the little, you know, Empire waist. So it's hard, but I love them all, you know. And Dion, I mean, how can you not love her? And I mean, it's just like, it's crazy. I love watching the movie because I just get to see and remember the times, you know. Okay.
1 more question right here.
I was just gonna ask about the green dress. It's a retelling of Emma. Are there any other outfits that you got,
Not too much, because we wanted to keep it very contemporary, you know. I mean, it was hard. It was, you know, high school. It was not really that many moments. I mean, I think the cap sleeves and the Empire waist was really kind of like that nod that was perfect. Yeah. Can we do 1 more question?
Yes.
The lady right there. Yeah. Yeah.
So one of my favorite scenes is the gym sequence when you can all this, thing. And I read that previous interview of yours that you wish you had another scene to do that. So I was curious, which other scene would you have picked for some of the girls happening out?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's, you know, seeing more of Amber I would love, and like seeing more kind of hanging out with the girls, and like it just wasn't written in a script, you know. But I was so lucky because the director of photography was so talented. He's huge now, Bill Pope. You can look him up. The way that he shot the movie, he took the camera. It was like a fashion eye. You know, you don't see that in the movies, but he took the camera and looked down at the shoe. He looked at the jewelry. We saw every little detail, you know, every accessory, which it was so wonderful for me because all that work went into it, and you saw it, you know. So it was like a fashion extravaganza that you got to see every detail. So again, I think the movie is such a success, not just because of me, part of me, but also all the people that, you know, came together as artists. I mean, the director of photography, Amy Heckling writing the script, Alicia Silverstone being just so effervescent, you know, all the actors. We were all so young. I mean, this was my first feature film, you know, most of the Paul Rudd first feature film, you know, and then you get to read in a book, like he said to me when we were talking, Mona, do you remember I wore my own jeans and shoes? I was like, oh my God, I guess we were so low budget. Anyway.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's all the time we have for the Q&A, but if you dressed up in a Clueless
Come on
inspired
up.
costume, come on up. We're going to get a group picture.
Thank you
And
again,
we're
you
gonna
guys.
pick
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank
and
you so
one more
much.
thing, you guys. Tomorrow, I'm at the bookstore, Books and Books across the street from 11 to 1, and I'm assigning my book. So come and, you know, get your book. I'll sign
Tomorrow,
it personally
11
for you.
a.m., Books and Books, right
Books
across
and
the
Books,
street.
11 a.m. Oh, wait, whatever.
I love it. They look amazing together.